Welcome back, everyone. I'm Davin Chitwood, the sales executive here at Kirkham Iron Tech, and I'm here with our founder and CEO, Tom Kirkham. And today, Tom, I have a question about what is the difference between a cybersecurity and risk assessment compared to an overall systems audit?
That's a great question because there's a lot of confusion around it, right? And the security, basically, security and risk assessment is all about security. There's so many people out there that are unprotected. They don't have the best practices in place for cybersecurity. As we all in our business, we all know how vulnerable most people are.
Yes.
And so sometimes that's a good place to start. And just to do that first step, according to the National Institute of Standards and Technology's cybersecurity framework. And the very first one is identifying your vulnerabilities and assessing the risk to your company, because if you've got a lot of vulnerabilities and high risk, it could be deadly or fatal to your organization in a significant cyber attack. We have a couple of 3 different ways to do a security and risk assessment, including a NIST compliant risk assessment. But once again, that's around cybersecurity. What's your situation look like? What is the state of your cybersecurity defensive posture today? And you analyze a lot of things. It's not just the technical controls and getting a responsive and mitigation team already engaged that do the monitoring and all of that, along with all the automated controls. But it's also about, things that you may not consider: gross revenue, how many people are in your company, what your clients look like, your clients,
kind of information you're dealing with.
Yeah, certain clients or customers of yours may increase your risk to be attacked. So that's what goes into a security and risk assessment. Now, a systems audit, our systems assessment, it goes by various different names. That's the entirety of the whole IT systems, including cybersecurity.
Yes.
And it gets into a lot of different things. We typically will find out if you have insurance, cybersecurity insurance. We're going to want to know the age of all of the equipment, how old are the servers and the workstations, a whole inventory asset management, getting into that to see what we've got to uncover not only security vulnerabilities, but also uncover things that are going to impact the productivity and efficiency of the company.
Yes.
Okay? Because the investment in IT is about increasing the bottom line or increasing the top line, whatever your company's objectives are. Whereas whereas security is about, a strategic decision to protect the long-term viability of the firm, protect your client data, perhaps protect your vendors and other stakeholders in the company. So we go through a pretty in-depth analysis of all the IT stuff, understanding where everything is and looking at architecture, looking at line of business applications. It directly impacts how everybody works each and every single day.
Policies, procedures.
Absolutely. And policies and procedures around, acceptable use of equipment. Do you want to block YouTube or block Facebook? That's not things that we practice for various reasons, but we have clients that do that because that's an impact on productivity unless it's for work. But it's about uncovering all of those things, understanding the goals of the business, the objectives of the business, what their pain points are, and then fixing them. So it's kind of like step 1 of NIST, but it's from an IT perspective. So you do the analysis on all of the systems, and then you look for ways to improve it.
And in the systems audit, this is something also that we've been talking about a lot more recently, is benchmarking, that we usually include in that systems audit as well.
Yeah, that we did a deeper dive yesterday as of this recording. I think it's up already.
I think so.
Or if it's not, it will be by the time you guys see this. But yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit more about that. And, benchmarking, especially when it comes to both all of the whole encompassing thing of security and IT, you need to understand what your peers spend, what's their budget for IT and cybersecurity, and that will help guide you to it'll help guide you to justify an increase in budget, perhaps if you've got gaps in IT or gaps in cybersecurity. But what I like to use it for, thinking as a manager, I like to use it to know, okay, if we're not spending what we should be on cybersecurity that all of our peers do, and IT, management and administration and equipment investment and all of that, instead of patting myself on the back, the first thing I think of is, what are we missing?
Yeah.
Because if you're spending way under, if you're only investing 5% of your gross revenue, and this is for professional service firms, right? It's the metrics are different across all sorts of industries. Manufacturing is a whole lot different than professional service firms. But if all of the professional service firms, all the accounting firms spend 10% of their on average, their gross revenue, or $5,700 per employee, that's research tells us that, and you're only spending 5% and $3,000 a year per employee, what are you missing?
Yep.
And chances are you're missing something that will either get your security up to best practices, or you're not investing enough in IT, and that's making a negative impact on the bottom line. I can't stress that enough. And so you go back through a systems audit, and you look at all the equipment, and if it's aging, desktops about 4 years these days. I'm hearing people say more like 5. But if you've got servers that are 6, 7, 8 years old, those need to be replaced before they fail, because you're going to have a productivity loss, of data impact, who knows what. And being proactive about it is the smart way to spend and invest in your IT stuff. Don't run it in the ground.
That's exactly right. And the difference between security and risk assessment and systems audit, one's focused on security, one is the whole company, the whole infrastructure that you have, but both are essential. I would recommend getting in a risk assessment, and then I'd recommend getting a systems audit. And the good thing about while you're listening today, and what we do is that we provide these assessments and these audits for free, just to help companies understand where their gaps are, and then we help you build a plan to address these gaps and to address these vulnerabilities. And then we can implement that for you. We can partner with you, or you can take that and run with it. But we are here to help. And usually these assessments audits cost what? $700, $800 plus at the moment.
I think a NIST security assessment's not free.
Yeah.
Although we maintain, we're compliant with NIST, maybe not in every little detail down in it, but yeah, that's just a good way to find out where you are. And then
it's a perfect starting
budgets.
point.
Maybe you don't have the budget to double your spend, right? That's pretty hard for a company to double their spend, in 1 year.
Yeah.
So we're going to plan that out in stages. Okay, the server's 6 years old, but everything looks good on it, but we got to replace it next year.
Plan to replace it.
Budget for that, whether it's $3,000 or $30,000, whatever it is, or move to the cloud if that's possible.
We'll help you figure those things out.
Right. And the main thing, but first and foremost, the reason we do by far more security assessments than we do system audits, which we're switching to where we're doing them all now for the most part. But the reason we do cybersecurity first is if you don't have best practices, you're not using an EDR, you're not using multi-factor authentication, you're not using password managers, all these things that are bad practices and bad security hygiene. It's because most people don't have their ducks in a row on that. And that's why we focus on it first. And so no matter what organization, what IT company or managed security services provider you use, you want to make sure security is job one. And that's not always the case with either an internal IT staff or if you outsource to an MSP or a break fix IT company, they, for, almost 40 years now, the focus has been on productivity and efficiency more than security. So it's a paradigm shift about how you need to think about your whole IT systems.
Yes.
And you need to treat IT administration as a plug-in to security. Security's job one. And we're going to look at cultural things inside your company to see, because we can only do so much as a security company. It takes management and leadership to instill the human practices into practicing really good security defense.
But if you have any questions about a security assessment or a systems audit, or how do you schedule one, how long does it take, feel free to reach out. We'll be doing these videos every single week. And so if there's a specific topic that you'd like to hear us talk about, feel free to reach out as well. But we look forward to talking to you all soon.